people back after lunch. And worse, when Ajahn Brahmali said we'll start at 12 o'clock, and then he doesn't turn up. No, they're not coming. When we first had the meeting months ago, and I told him about all this program, and I said, I'm going to do the quiz, but usually the monks and nuns don't come. And they're like, no, we will come. Okay, anyway. All right, I just need to get as many people in as possible. So, okay, maybe we will just... So I think he said Ajahn Brahmali wants to start the session again at 1 o'clock. So we have from now until 1 o'clock. We will just try and do as much as possible for the quiz. So, Aurora, can you help me? And I don't know how to break up the group. It might be, I'm not sure whether I should do it as like a, do you have enough papers for everyone? Yeah? Okay, so then we would do it as an individual quiz. Yeah? I would allow collaboration. But is that? Yeah, it's okay. You all will need to figure out how to write on the paper when you don't have anything. So this is just for fun, doesn't matter. And Shane, can you help me move to the next slide? Okay. So there are some ground rules. You cannot use your mobile phone. No searching for answers on your mobile phone. Come, Venerable Sunyo, join our quiz. Yes, of course you will win. You have all the answers. So please make sure he gets a piece of paper too. Okay, so please, you got to follow the rules of the quiz. So no handphones. So I should just announce to everyone, this is Venerable Sunyo. Welcome, Venerable Sunyo. He's here with his parents and his brother from Netherlands. Yes. Yeah. Oh, no, Venerable Sunyo, can you please come up here first? We all pay respect to you. It would be nice for us to pay respect to you. And then your parents can see how well respected you are. Just sit in the middle. Okay. Yeah, so before we start the quiz, we'll pay respects to Venerable Sunyo since he's here. Okay, all right. So it's up to you where you want to sit. Okay, all right. Okay, so are you all ready? No cheating, no handphone. No Googling, no laptop, no whatever. Okay, so you just have to rely on memory, mindfulness, or wild guesses. Okay, Shane, let's move on to the next one. And you will need to tabulate the points yourself. Okay, this is an easy one. So the first question is, at the start of the event, I actually repeatedly mentioned how much fund was donated. Okay, I want the exact number down to 2 decimal places. Sorry, Bill. 65 cents. Okay, that's about the only clue that we give. 65 cents. Okay, I repeatedly mentioned the number. Yeah, you write there, and then I will tell you the answer. Then you can you can then check your answer and then you give yourself the points. Okay, is everybody done? Yes. Okay. Got it? Everybody? All right. So the correct answer is 146,259.65. Who got correct? So it's 146,259.65. Okay, 2. The rest of you were not listening. Okay, all right. Move on to the next question. Okay. So the questions that I asked today, because this is supposed to be about supporting bhikkhunis, so it should be generally about bhikkhunis, but I think all of you know me by now. I have a lot of things up my sleeve, so I may ask other questions as well. But this is a good question. Who was the first bhikkhuni ordained by the Buddha? So I need the name. If you're not so sure of the name, don't say out the answer. If you're not so sure of the name, but you can somehow tell me who she is, I will accept the answer as well. So don't tell me the answer yet. Let everybody have a chance to write the answer. Actually, I think individual sessions are better, isn't it? Like individual answers, so they cannot discuss. But I did say collaboration is okay. I saw some collaboration going on in the front. Okay, so who was the first bhikkhuni ordained by the Buddha? Okay, everybody done? All right. Somebody who thinks they have the correct answer can shout out the answer, the name? Correct. Mahapajapati Gotami. So she is actually the Buddha's aunt and foster mother. Yeah? Okay, so if you get the answer correct, give yourself 1 point. Because at the end, I will ask you all to tell me how many points you have. Yes, acceptable stepmother. Okay, all right, next question. This is getting serious. Wow, okay. Please, I stay up until like 12:30 a.m. this morning to come up with all these questions. Okay, look at this. What do the numbers represent? I think this should be... Venerable Sunil, did you know the answers? Okay. Very sneaky. He will always get the right answer. Okay. So, 311 said to 227. This is not fair. Why do I have to remember more? So what do the numbers represent? Okay. I think people are done. Okay, so what is 311? Nuns rules, right? The number of precepts. And then what is 227? Okay. Everybody heard the answer? So these are the number of rules that the precepts that the monks and nuns have to keep. And the nuns actually have more rules than the monks. Okay, next question, Shane. Where in the Pali Canon can you find the verses spoken by early Buddhist nuns? Okay, if you know the answer, just write it down. Yes. I don't know, maybe I should ask him first. He may get the wrong answer. If Venerable Sunil gets the answer wrong, we will not invite him to teach the workshop in November. We just announced just now that you'll be teaching the workshop in November. So if you get this question wrong, you're not teaching us. On stone. Okay, people done? A little bit of discussion going on here. All right, somebody want to shout out the answer? Theragatha, yeah? Terigata. Okay. Okay, next one. The naughty one. I want to see who can get this right. Guess the name of a nun who was ordained in Damansara. Yeah. I'm not sure a lot of people understand this. So so you have to think of what you're seeing in front of you. Sorry, this is just me being naughty. But you know, this is a fundraising, you know. Okay. People need more time? Amita is thinking. Okay, there's this program on TV, I'm not sure whether you'll watch, it's called 1% Club. And it has all the IQ question, not IQ question, but something deeper than this. And I always watch this because my husband will get like 90% or 95% of the question right. I will get like 30%. And I watch it because the time that my husband didn't manage to answer the one question, but because I got it right, I'm like basking in my glory. Okay, but this is a simple one actually. Okay, someone thinks they know the answer, shout out the answer. Which nun? Why Karunika? Because there's 2 cars. Sorry for the lame joke. Because there's 2 cars. You know, when we were thinking about the quiz, and then Ayya Karunika said, yep, okay, I'll send you a list of questions. And her questions were all very serious questions, you know. Yeah, no, it's Karunika because it has 2 cars. Okay, next question. Okay, I hope no more such silly questions. How many forest monasteries for nuns are there in Australia? What are their names? How many forest monasteries for nuns? I want to say it's Theravada forest monasteries, but okay, don't shout out the answer. Please write the answer and make sure you keep tab of the points because look, I have all the prizes waiting for you here. Okay, how many forest monasteries? And I need the names. So 1 point for how many forest monasteries, and then depending on how many there are, when you tell me their names, you get 1 point for each name. Actually, the more interesting questions are in front. The back ones, I thought maybe we won't have time. But it looks like we are doing quite well. Okay? Everyone done? Yes? Okay, tell me how many? 3, very good. Okay, shout out. Number 1? Yes, Damansara. Santi. Newbury. Everybody got that? So you get 1 point if you say 3. And then if you get each of them right, then you get 3 points as well. So there's 4 points for this question. Okay, let me just do a check. I want to see who is winning this game. Huh? Okay, so who got all the answers correct so far? I don't even know how many points. Oh, wow. Something is going on there. Maybe we need to split up that group, you know? Okay, all right. I'm quite sure some questions you can't answer. Okay, next one, Shane. Wow, okay, this is an interesting one. So, there's a curious sequence of letters in Damansara. So that's the sequence. And then strangely, these 3 letters were not included in the sequence. What is this sequence? What is the missing letter? What does the missing letter stand for? And why is N and A excluded from the sequence? I think you all won't want to come to my quiz anymore. Okay, you can take some time to think about this. The letters represent something. But why does it start with H? And then the next one is M. And then P. And what is N and A that is not included in that sequence? Oh, somebody got it. Okay, so don't shout out the answer. I'll give people more time. So I need to know what is this sequence. Why H comes before M. And I need to know the last letter, the question mark, what should it be and what does it stand for? And why is N and A not part of the initial sequence? This is maybe the toughest question. But it's always that when you know the answer, it's not tough anymore. Are you sure you got it, Amita? Amita, you got it? You don't? Okay, don't tell me the answer, but you think you got it?
I got the sequence.
You got a sequence, but do you know the N and A? Not yet. Okay, think about it. If you got the first one, there should be a continuation, but then somehow you can't continue because they are of a different group. Venerable Sunil, do you get this one? You think? Yeah? Okay. Yeah? You think you got it? Wow, not bad. Sometimes I think maybe it's me who's like thinking all these silly questions, you know? All right. People still need more time? Maybe I need my phone to be able to... I have to make sure I get the right answer, you know, but... Anyway. Okay. Okay, someone tell me, so what is this sequence? What do the letters represent? The names of the nuns in Dhammansara. Everybody got that? You start with Ajahn Hasapanna, and then Munisara, Pasada, Gotami, Jayanti, Achala, Jotika, Khantika. What's the S? Soma. Who's the W? Vimala. Why W? Sorry, it's V. V first. Vimala, and then one more V. Vimutti. Vimutti, then Vimala. And then what's the question mark? Who's the last bhikkhuni? Pamochana. So, the first question, what is this sequence? Is representing the nuns, the bhikkhunis in Dhammansara. You get that? You get 1 point. What is the missing letter? So that's P, because that's Venerable Pamochana. What does the, so that's P, and what does the missing letter stand for? That's Pamochana. So why is N and A excluded from the sequence? What is N and A? Yes? Yes. Anupama was here. So they are not bhikkhunis, they are just samaneris. You like my question? Did you get that, Venerable Sunil? But you... Okay, very good. Okay, who got that correct? Whoa, wow. Oh, second. Okay, very good. Are you enjoying the quiz so far? Okay, there's more interesting ones coming up. Okay, next one. Okay, this is a serious one. This bhikkhuni was initially unable to accept her child's death. After the Buddha's teaching through the famous mustard seed parable, she not only overcame her grief, but eventually attained arahantship. So, who is this bhikkhuni? You know, I actually learned a lot as well. Oh, I should talk about this. So, you know how these days is into AI? So I always use ChatGPT. In the office, we always use ChatGPT. So sometimes if you're so impressed with the notices that we put up or the letters that we write, actually it's because we use ChatGPT too. And recently, someone told me that they also use ChatGPT, but it's for Buddhists, and that one is called Norbu, Norbu. So that one's quite good. And it was developed by someone in Malaysia. So I use Norbu for some of this. I basically write, name me all the bhikkhunis in Buddha's time. And then they list down, and then they'll tell me the story. And then I say, I want a question where the answer is this particular bhikkhuni. And then the question comes out. I was just busy using Norbu last night or this morning. Okay, I think this is quite easy because this is quite a famous story. Yeah? Okay, shout out. What is the name? Who's that? Got that? Kisa Gotami. Yeah? Okay, so if you get that, that's 1 point. So there will be quite a number of questions that are of this nature. Okay, next question. Oh my gosh, this one is a funny one. Okay. I actually don't think anyone will get this correct. What on earth is this? Something seems upside down, or maybe inside out. But can you guess what this is? Venerable Sunyo might know this, but I'm not sure whether he has seen this in a monastery. Don't shout out the answer. You can tell me, and then you can just write an answer. So what is this? What does it look like? Someone's poor handwriting. I must say, the handwriting of this person is horrendous. Once I tried to read a page of his handwriting, I couldn't figure out many words. He is the opposite of Ajahn Brahm's handwriting. Okay. Wow, seems that everyone has an answer. Okay, what do you think? He is Norwegian. So what is this? Ajahn Brahmali's what? Signature, yes. His signature. We seldom see Ajahn Brahmali's signature, but I managed to locate his signature. We usually see Ajahn Brahm's signature. Yes, so that's correct. That's Ajahn Brahmali's signature. So 1 point if that's your answer. Not bad. How could you guys tell? Upside down, you can see the Ajahn. Later on, I will show the actual one, but it's towards the end of the slides. Okay, next one. Okay, another serious question. So this bhikkhuni is considered foremost in great wisdom among Buddha's female disciples. Before becoming a nun, she avoided meeting the Buddha because she was so proud of her beauty. So I think this one, the story goes that she's so pretty and then she doesn't want to meet the Buddha. Then finally, her husband convinced her to meet the Buddha. Then Buddha showed her the image, or rather a woman that's so pretty, but he then kind of like used his superpower to make the woman kind of like age, and then she suddenly saw in front of her eyes the whole aging process. And I think she attained stream winner or something like that, yeah? Okay. So, who was she? Which bhikkhuni is that? Okay, please take your time to write down. Oh my gosh, I think I need to give a prize for everyone. Looks like everyone knows the answer to every question. So my question was not so difficult after all. Maybe I would have a rapid fire round. Okay, so everybody got the answer? Okay. Who thinks they've got the right answer? Kema. Yeah, everybody? Okay? All right, so that's Kema. Okay, so next question. Okay, this one. I think there are a lot of bhikkhunis known for their beauty. This bhikkhuni is known for her extraordinary beauty and mastery of supernatural powers. So this one not only beauty, but the amazing part is her supernatural powers. So she was declared by Buddha to be foremost in psychic powers, and she served as one of the two chief female disciples alongside Kema. Who was she? Her name, okay, very good. All right, so who is this bhikkhuni? Okay, all right. We done with the writing? Okay, Amita, what's your answer? Yes, that's correct. Okay, everybody got that? Upalavana. Okay, next question, also a serious question. This female arahant gave such a brilliant and comprehensive teaching to her former husband Visakha, and Buddha praised her as foremost among bhikkhunis who teach the Dhamma. So she's the one who is actually the foremost when it comes to the Dhamma. Who was she? So that's question number 1. Number 2 is, you must name what is this profound discourse that was given by this bhikkhuni in the Majjhima Nikaya. So I need to know and what is the name of this sutta. Very soon you know this sutta. No, that's why I said in the start, no, they are not. So that's why the caliber of people that we have here, Venerable Sunyo, I should save some of these questions, and then when Ajahn Brahmali comes in, I should ask him those questions. Maybe when I say the answer, I'll have Ananda to explain this sutta. Maybe Ananda will cover this. So Ananda is going to do the sutta class during Rain's retreat again. So maybe Ananda will talk about this sutta. Okay. So firstly, who was she? Yep, Dhammadina. Okay, so got that? Dhammadina. So what is this profound discourse that's given by her? MN what? Correct. But MN what? Good. 44. Okay, so check how many points you get. Yeah? So if you say MN 44, you get 1 point. If you say Chula Ve whatever Sutta, you get another point. So it's Chula Vedala Sutta. And the nun's name is Dhamma. Okay, all right. Next question. Can you all read? So, it's an email that was sent to someone. And this person says, Ajahn, just remember not to go to the VIP or VVIP or VVVIP lounge for your return flight from Sri Lanka. Just go to the Singapore Airlines lounge, always safe. Why? Who is this Ajahn that the email was addressed to? And what was the reason for sending it to this person? It was just sent recently, last Thursday. So what happened? Why did this person ask this Ajahn not to go to the VIP lounge? Okay, clarification. This has nothing to do with the Dhamma project. But it has something to do with Sri Lanka. So that's why the question is here. I'm just trying to put all interesting questions into the quiz. Okay, don't shout out the answer. Just think first. So I need to know who was this email addressed to, and what was the reason for sending it to this person? I don't know what happened. Something about Sri Lanka. I must say it almost started a Third World War. Almost did. That's why, you know, that email address? Actually, you may not guess because this person has a lot of email addresses. Okay, so who was this email addressed to? Ajahn Brahm. Okay, so if you get that, you get 1 point, correct? So what was the reason for sending it to Ajahn Brahm? Because 2 years ago? Because Ajahn Brahmali told me that he and Ajahn Brahm always take turns to go to Sri Lanka. So this year is Ajahn Brahm, last year was Ajahn Brahmali, so it was 2 years ago. So 2 years ago, Ajahn Brahm went to Sri Lanka, and then on his return flight, he was telling me this story, it's so funny. So he flies Singapore Airlines. So he was on his way to the Singapore Airlines lounge, but someone stopped him and said, oh, Ajahn Brahm, you're our VIP, you should come to this VIP lounge. And then so he had to follow them, and he was waiting there. And then came, I think it was the Prime Minister of Sri Lanka, and the Prime Minister was going to Thailand on another Singapore Airlines flight. So then the Prime Minister was also in the lounge. Then Ajahn Brahm, so then came the announcement, Singapore Airlines flight, whatever, please go to the boarding gate. So Ajahn Brahm stood up and said, okay. And they said, no, don't worry. You are a VIP. We will send you there. Don't worry. You know, just wait. And so he was like, okay, he waited. Then came the second announcement. Boarding time, you know. And then Ajahn Brahm stood up and they're like, no, don't worry, you know. So then this went on. So until that Prime Minister was ready to go, then they were making another announcement. It's like, last call, you know. So Ajahn Brahm is like, I need to go. And they're like, no, don't worry. So then finally, when they got him and the Prime Minister, they were on the same bus, I think. The bus was heading towards the flight, and then he saw his plane moving on. And then he said, I think that was my flight. And those people started shouting, like trying to stop the plane. So I had to remind him, please don't go into the VIP or whatever VIP lounge. Yeah, but it was quite a big problem because there was a conspiracy theory saying that there's a group in Sri Lanka who is holding him back. So they wrote emails to us asking if we want to take action. And then, yeah, I think there were even like, you know, reporters trying to contact us. And then we asked Ajahn Brahm, Ajahn, so what do you think? Do you want people to like seek redress for you? And he's like, nah, it's just like someone thought it was a good thing to do, but didn't turn out that way. Okay, next slide. So, this is like hot from the press. Amita, that was what you're trying to show me. So I got those photographs last night. You can see Prem is in a photo as well. So Ajahn Brahm is currently in Sri Lanka, and they just asked him to do a blessing for the Dhamma project. So there was a large group. You can see a little bit of Ayya Sela. She's in the second photograph at the corner. I don't know those two monks. Do you know the two? Okay. Yeah, I'm not familiar with the monks. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So I'm hoping that Ajahn Brahm will be able to leave and not miss his flight again. Okay, all right, next question. Who is the preceptor who ordained the first 4 bhikkhunis in Australia? I think this should be an easy one. Actually, when I was listening to the introduction to the project this morning, I realized that they mentioned quite a number of answers that are in my quiz. This is one of them. So, who is the preceptor? Okay, everyone got the answer? Someone shout out the answer? Yep, Ayya Tataloka. That's correct. Ayya Tataloka. Okay, next question. So for those of you who don't know, this is Ayya Sela. Can you all read? Okay, so it says, Ayya Sela, based in Sri Lanka, will be the spiritual director of the Dhamma project. Select the statement below that is true about Ayya Sela. A. Ayya Sela began her monastic life at Dhammansara Nuns Monastery and returned to Sri Lanka after receiving full bhikkhuni ordination in Dhammansara. So that's A. So A says that she started her monastic life in Dhammansara, then she was ordained as a bhikkhuni there, then she went back to Sri Lanka. So that's A. B. Ayya Sela began her monastic life at Newbury Buddhist Monastery, which is in Victoria, but received her full bhikkhuni ordination in Dhammansara. So this one says that she actually started as a nun in Newbury, but she got her bhikkhuni ordination in Dhammansara. So that's B. And C says, Ayya began her monastic life in Sri Lanka and received her full ordination there. Okay, so you've got the 3 different versions. So which one is correct? And Ayya Sela has been coming to Dhammansara Nuns Monastery to do her rains retreat. I think she was here maybe twice already. Twice, yeah. And I think she's coming again this year. All right. Okay, what's the answer? What? Is that A or B? B? Yes. So she was not originally from Dhammansara. She was actually from Newbury. But she had to come here to get her full ordination, her bhikkhuni ordination. After the ordination, because I was actually there for the ordination because there was another nun, Ayya Sankappa. So 2 of them came from Newbury to be ordained, to have their full ordination in Dhammansara. Then they went back to Newbury. Ayya Sankappa is still there, but Ayya Sela is back in Sri Lanka. Yeah? So B is the correct answer. Okay, next question. When did the first Theravada bhikkhuni ordination in Australia took place in Perth? Ayya Karunika mentioned that just now, and she said the year wrongly, and then she corrected herself. Was it? No, Ayya Karunika mentioned that, and then she said, yeah. So this has been mentioned a few times. So I need the date and the year. The date and the year. The day, the month, the year. Ha. I'm trying to see if there's a question that no one here knows the answer. Maybe this one? So who thinks they've got the date? Amita, Eddie. Lucky, you think? I think most people get the year, but I'm not sure how many people get the date right. And even if you get this question right, I'm quite sure you may not get the answer to the next question. Okay, so what's the date? Yes? 22nd October and the year? 2009. 22nd October 2009. Venerable Sunil, don't you think this group is quite smart? Don't say it. Okay, so if you get this one correct, then that's the right answer. Okay, next question. Amita, you cannot say anything. So what else is significant about that date? There is no year, I only put the date, 22nd October. Okay, don't shout out the answer. I don't think you know the answer, Venerable Sunyo. If you don't know the answer, you cannot go back to the monastery. It's a very serious... Yes, it's very serious. He must know the answer. Okay, what else is significant about that date, 22nd October? Actually, Amita hinted that he said something. He said birthday. Okay, question is, whose birthday, Amita? Ajahn Brahmali's birthday. Okay, that's right. Okay? Everybody got that? That's why I say Venerable Sunil cannot go back if he doesn't know the answer. Okay, next. Huh? Yes. We would love to have you here. Okay, next question. All right. I think maybe this is not that simple. In SN 5.2, Mara questioned this bhikkhuni's spiritual potential based on her gender. So basically, Mara is saying, you're a female, you can't get enlightened. But her response, demonstrating deep wisdom and realization, became a cornerstone teaching about woman's equal capacity for enlightenment. Who was she? Actually, I didn't even know the answer to this one. But I read the story and I thought, oh, that's very interesting. So when some people say, you're a woman, you cannot get enlightened, it's not true, it's in the suttas. All right? Everybody got the answer? Okay, shout out the answer. Nope, not Vajira. Oh, you don't know this one. Soma. Well done, it's Soma. Maybe that's why we have Venerable Soma in Dhammansara. Yep. Before we go to the next one is also going to be very interesting. Are you all ready? I told you I have a lot of things up my sleeve. The next one is one of them. Okay, Shane, you can move to the next one. Aurora, doesn't mean you put on your dark glasses, you can tell. I actually don't know whether it's a fair question, but I'm going to put it up anyway. Aurora, I had to learn how to do this. So I did this I had to Google how to remove everything. So I had the photo. So you go to Canva, and then you kind of go through the steps, and that's what you get. I've never done it. I learned a lot of things, So I have a few of such questions. This is just the first of them. Anyway, at the end of the slide, I will actually show the actual picture. And I was trying to make sure that they somehow can tell. There was one that was very obvious, so I left that one to the end. Okay. So for sure, it's one of the nuns in Dhammansara, yeah? Okay, if that's a clue. Okay, someone wants to try and give an answer? Yes, Venerable Achala. Oh my gosh! Well done! So it does look like her, right? Huh? Nah. Okay, I'll show later. Okay, so it's Achala. Do you all like my quiz so far? Okay, all right. Next question. Oh no, skip this one. Because I wanted the two of them to give me some information they didn't. Okay, who brought the Bodhi tree to Sri Lanka? It's a cutting of the Bodhi tree from India, from Bodhgaya to Sri Lanka. So that's the first question. Who brought the Bodhi tree to Sri Lanka? The second question is, where was the cutting? Yeah? I think, Yeah. And you can tell me the answer. Maybe I got the wrong answer. Yeah? So who brought it to Sri Lanka? Where was the cutting? Did they? Is it in a different location now? Or maybe no, I think it's the original. Where was the cutting? It's originally when she brought it over, so where was it? Which part of Sri Lanka was that? Yeah? Yep. Hint. I think just now the video, when they show all the famous places, they show this place as well, right? Yep. I've never been to Sri Lanka. I have never been to Sri Lanka. So, a group of my friends, Manel is one of them, we have this regular meditation group, and one day she's like, Lay Har, you should lead a tour we should do a pilgrimage to Sri Lanka. I've never been to Sri Lanka. So I wrote an email to Ajahn Brahmali. Ajahn, can you lead a pilgrimage to Sri Lanka? And he didn't reply to me. And I thought, because he always replied to my email. If not immediately, it's the next day. Then, 2 or 3 days later, he responded. And he said, I thought it was a ridiculous idea. Because it is very hard for him to. And he just came back from the India pilgrimage. So Ajahn Brahmali would not let him leave on another pilgrimage, But after 3 days, he said, but I thought about it. Then he started to tell me about this project. And as a result, I have to do so much for this project in order to go to Sri Lanka on the pilgrimage. That's how this whole pilgrimage came about. And that's how I got involved. All because I asked him to do a pilgrimage to Sri Lanka. Anyway, okay, what's the right answer? Who brought the Bodhi tree to Sri Lanka? Sanghamitra? So who is Sanghamitra? Yeah, so it's Asoka's daughter, right? Yeah, sorry, I didn't even know this part of the history. So that's Asoka's, so it's, okay, and where was the cutting? Anuradhapura. Anuradhapura. Yeah? Okay, so that's the answer I'm looking for. So it's 2 points if you get Sangamita Teri as well as Anuradhapura. Yep? Okay, all right. Next question. Next one. So this bhikkhuni, she's a well-known courtesan of Vesali. And before she became a fully enlightened disciple, she did have these verses about impermanence. My hair was once black, the color of bees. Now through old age, it's like hemp. The word of the truth speaker proves true. There's no deceiving about such things. That's in Therigatha 13.1. So the first question is, who is this bhikkhuni? So this story is quite... so she was the one who wants to offer dana to the Buddha, but I think some of the rich merchants were trying to come and say, no, we should be the ones, you know. But in the end, she's still the one who managed to offer dana to the Buddha and the Sangha. Yeah. Okay, so the first question is, who is this bhikkhuni? And then the next question is, because she was also quite generous and she did donate something to Buddha, what did she donate to the Buddha and the Sangha? So I need the name of this place. Okay, first, okay, you can discuss. Yeah? Okay. That's quite a straightforward answer. Okay, got that? Amita always got this smug look on his face, like he knows the answer. Okay, Amita, who is the bhikkhuni? Huh? Ambapali. Yes. Correct. She gave her mango grove. Half right. Okay, so you get 1 point. Yeah? If you get the first one right, you get 1 point. So yes, it's the mango grove. Okay, the next one is an interesting one. All right. Oh my gosh. Ajahn Brahmali is here. I didn't plan for this, but he's here. Anyway, okay. This is the next question. Ajahn Brahmali, please take a seat and not say anything. Okay, so in case you cannot read, a group of monks, nuns, and lay people somehow ended up on a bit of an unexpected adventure, complete with rocky trails, questionable footwear. I don't know what they were doing. And plenty of laughter along the way, but of course, after they finished the hike. So I need 3 answers. First, I need to tell you what is this occasion. Can you name the event? What are these people doing? So, second question, whose bright idea it was to take this detour? The third question is, what is the name of the stunning cave they ended up at? So, you have to tell me, you don't need to tell me the date, but you need to tell me what is this event. I'm trying to see, so was anyone, oh, one of them, okay. Okay, don't tell people the answer. Okay, so I can, yeah, so there's like 2 nuns here. 2 nuns here. That is a monk over there. And I think there's another monk there, and there's another one there. Can you see how dangerous it is? I was wondering whether I should put this up because I need to make sure our insurance company doesn't look at this. We didn't tell them we were doing activities like that. Okay, we need to quickly move on. Can you name this event? Someone tell me, what is this event? When was the pilgrimage? So it's India Pilgrimage 2024. Yeah? Whose bright idea was it to take this detour? It wasn't in the itinerary. So whose bright idea was it? Ajahn Brahmali. And Ajahn, what is the name of the cave?
Indrasala cave.
Did you all get that? Ajahn, you want to tell the story? What's the story behind this cave?
Okay.
this is a very nice story. This is the Indasala Guha. Guha is cave. And this is where Lord Sakka is the Lord of the gods, Tava things of heaven. And this is where he is supposed to meet the Buddha and asked his famous question. This is all recorded in the Sakka Panya Sutta, the questions of Sakka. And this is supposed to be the cave, So it's amazing. This is where the Buddha stayed. You can see it's really far away, incredibly secluded, very beautiful and peaceful place. So, wow, I'm very impressed, Lay Har. You've really done a good job out of this. So, sadhu. Yeah, no, I just needed to chillax a bit. So thank you.
No, that's okay. All right. Okay. Next one. I think next one is when the answer will help us to decide who's the winner. Okay. This is part 2 of the question. So, after a serious hike, our monk ended up here, staring at the sky, possibly in awe, or maybe just wondering if there's coffee up there. So now, what I want you guys to do is to give me a funny caption for this moment. I will just take a few more minutes. Yeah? Okay. Maybe it is going to take some time. So just think about it for now. Yeah? And who was the first one to reach this point? Was it you?
The first one to climb the cave was actually someone else, but I was just the first one underneath the cave.
Who was the first one?
Who was the first one to climb the cave? I can't.
Wow. So they have to actually walk around it and then start climbing up.
The last part was very steep.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what they were saying. I think Pui Chin was telling me. That's where she gave up and she's like, no. So they had to push people up to get to this point. Okay. But this wasn't the only one that they went to. Ajahn, there was another one, was it? There was a second one. Was there another place that you all also did some hiking? Yeah? Okay. So, you all heard that Ajahn Brahmali is going to lead a pilgrimage to Sri Lanka tomorrow? Not tomorrow, next year? So be prepared. He will make such detour. Okay, I don't need the answer now, but I will need the answer maybe after the tea break, after the break, yeah? So I need you all to think of a funny caption. Because this group is quite smart, they got almost all the answers correct. Okay, let me just move through a few more questions, just a few more only. Okay, next one. Okay, this is a serious question. Which famous bhikkhuni lost her entire family in a single day? Her husband to snake bite, 2 young children to drowning, parents and brother to a house collapse during storm. Yet later she became a great teacher, which helped many grieving mothers and peace, and was declared by the Buddha to be foremost in the Vinaya. Okay, this one should be an easy one. All right, okay. Lucky, you think you got the answer? Patachara. Patachara? Yep, okay, next one. Maybe I have like 2 more questions. Okay, now, you know, that's what our monks and nuns do. They go hiking all the time. So, here's a nun on a hiking adventure, striking a pose like a true trailblazer. What's the funniest thing she could be thinking or saying right now? And Ayya Karunika, you want to tell us where is this photo taken?
Yeah, this is just a half an hour's drive from our monastery. It's called Fitzroy Falls. It's one of the highest waterfalls. I don't know which number, but it's quite a pretty spot.
Very nice. Ayya Karunika took us to this place as well when we visited her. Beautiful. But same thing, I need you all to think of a caption. Then we will give the prize out to the top 10. I have 10 prizes here, I think. Okay, so just think about the answer, then come back to me later on. Let me move on to the next question. Maybe I just have like 2 or 3 more. Okay, next one, Shane. So, I need two answers here. What is the name of the Western nun who was a prolific teacher in the 80s? She also established a monastery on an island in Sri Lanka. What is that monastery called? Or what is that island called? Yeah? This should be quite straightforward. Okay, all right. I think you all have the answer. Let me try a different person. Eddie, did you have the answer? Oh, Eddie have the answer? Ayya Karunikā, that's correct. But do you know what's the name of the monastery? No idea. We need the help of Sri Lankans. Say that again. Parapuduwa. Correct? So the island is called Parapuduwa Island, or it's called the Nuns Island. So that's Ayya Karunikā. Okay, I will end with the, I actually have a few more questions, but I'll end with the next slide. We had another of this just now. This is the second one. I feel sorry for these people having to put up with my silly questions. You know, I had to look at it a few times myself to make sure that it's quite distinct. Who does that look like? Okay? Are people thinking? Or they have... Wow, you guys have the answer. Venerable Sunil is still struggling. Do you know this one? No. I think you have to stay here already. Because just now, there was a question that was very important, and I told him if he doesn't know the answer, he cannot go back to the monastery. And he said he's happy to stay here. I think he has to stay here now because he didn't do quite well in this quiz, Ajahn. I think he could have possibly gotten the lowest points. Okay, who is the nun? No, it's not Ayya Karunika. Yes. Yes, it's it's Ajahn Pasada. Correct. Does it not look like? Yeah. Okay. All right. So just based on this so far, can you just do a quick check on who got the most number of correct answers? Yes. Not sure. Okay. Are you all counting your points? I don't even know how many. There was some collaboration going on here? Some collaboration going on? Doesn't matter. So I just need to know. So I think to this point, I would have gone through 27 questions. But because some of the questions have actually a few answers, so anyone has more than 30 points? Yeah? Are you sure, Ananda? Oh, you missed a few? Okay. So who has 30 points? Okay, maybe that's fine, easier way to do it so that we can move on because I think we want to continue. So write your name and then the number of points on your paper and then hand it over to me. Yeah? And then also remember we have 2 more questions that I need answers on. Maybe that will help me decide who are the final 10 because we've got 10 prizes to give away. Okay? Can you all do that? Okay, and you can give the paper to me later on as well. Just need to add up the points. Can you go back? There's one question about I want to ask about the nuns. No, up. Keep going. No? More? More? Wait, that one. One more down? Yeah, wait, up. Ajahn, look, what is my question? You recognize that? Okay, very good. Okay, then another one. I think go up. Yes, this one. You want to try this question? Do you think you know the answer? So the letters mean something, and they're placed in a certain order. You got this one? Okay, so now we know who cannot go back to the monastery. It's very nice. We ask this question and then we can keep the monks and the nuns here. Dhammaloka will have monks and nuns staying here. Actually, this sequence, the letters represent the name of the bhikkhunis. So the first one is Hasapanna, and then Munisara. And then the last one is the last bhikkhuni who was just recently ordained, so that's Pamochana. Maybe you don't know the names of the nuns that well, so maybe that's why it's difficult. And then the last three letters, they are not bhikkhunis, they are samaneris, and that's why they are not included in that sequence. Okay, all right, very good. So now we know sometimes there are some questions that are not related to Buddhism that the Ajahns cannot answer. Okay, all right, so just write your name and then add up your points. And give me the answer to the two questions as to what Ajahn Brahmali and Ayya Karunika were thinking in that photograph, and then hand it over to me during the break, yeah? Okay, thank you everyone. So I'll hand the mic over to...
Okay. So just very briefly, so this is another video from Sri Lanka, and this is these are messages from the people on the ground in Sri Lanka, people who are part of the Ajahn Brahm Society. So these are the people who are running this new organization that we are establishing, this training center, and just a message from them to give you some idea what they're up to and what is happening over there. So, yeah, please. Is Venerable Sela. She is the spiritual director of this new initiative. So she is this nun I was talking about before. She was trained in Newbury Monastery in Melbourne. She's also been staying for the Rains retreat at Dhammasara, and she's also staying at Dhammasara for this Rains. Yeah. So, and she has so far done a really good job. We're very impressed with her. So I think that she will be the super duper leader for this project. So let's see what super duper Venerable Sela has to say.
I'm at Anuradhapura, sitting next to the Sangamita Stupa. Today I'm at Anuradhapura, sitting next to the Sangamita Stupa. According to the Sri Lankan chronicles and the archaeological findings, Bhikkhuni Sangamita Theri was cremated here in this location near Thuparama around 200 BCE. It is believed that the location for the cremation had been selected by Theri herself before her death. This stupa was built by King Uttaya over her ashes. Bhikkhuni Sangamita Theri was a daughter of the Indian Emperor Ashoka. She came to Sri Lanka in the 3rd century BCE. She ordained Sri Lanka's Princess Anula, started the Bhikkhuni order in Sri Lanka, and opened up opportunities for women to practice according to the teachings of the Buddha. I feel very inspired to be here and talk about this new project that we are part of in Sri Lanka to build a place of practice for women in Buddhism. The plan is to build a center that provides education and training according to the early Buddhist teachings, and also to offer meditation instructions and create safe, tranquil spaces for women to practice, both monastic and lay. This will also provide opportunities for women living in other parts of the world to come and experience the spiritual life in a traditional Buddhist country. I'm delighted to see the support and encouragement from many people already from all parts of the world for this project, and with all of your support, I hope we'll be able to make it a reality.
Recording quality sometimes they can't very much. I saw it went up. That's the maximum. It's because of the recording quality is poor.
Maximum as it is.
Right, it's
And now we have buffering. I can try to download it and play it, but that might
Later?
take some time.
yeah.
If you'd like to talk a bit
About
while
the
we
drawing?
try to
Yeah, okay.
fix the issue.
Yeah.
I'd like to talk about this one for a minute.
Okay, so this drawing we did together with some things that Venerable Sela was mentioning that would be helpful to begin with, to have everything like this is similar to what we had at Dhammasara, but also like a training center somewhere. When we first start, it's helpful to have things together and small when we start, maybe with 4 or 5 people. So it has a dining hall which can also be used for ceremonies, a bit of a library area, a little kitchenette, and a bedroom. What else I can't even see, office and few things, just like a main communal facility which people can come to and things. But there's another drawing. Did there were 2 things? It's page 2. No, there's another page. Yeah, that's the one. So there you can see that, the building that was there. And then there are those long things. They are walking meditation paths, and the orange boxes are actually like huts. We have designed it like this because in the beginning safety is an issue, so they are a little bit close. There is still seclusion, but also within reach and visually, if people can see. That's what Venerable Sela said would be helpful at the initial phase. And then down below, purple buildings are more accommodation for women who come as well for the next phase, I suppose these things are. So more accommodation for people who come to practice, like more meditation center area, and also a bigger dining hall for ceremonies, and a bigger kitchen and all of those facilities. But the garage and the caretakers will have to happen in the stage 1. So stage 1 would have that communal building and maybe the caretakers and a couple of kutis, and then we will build the rest. That's all, yeah.
This is just like an idea, right? This is not
This
set
is
in
just a
concrete.
concept, yeah. Because we have to see the land and land contours and all that. This is just a concept idea of what we are looking into.
Today I'm at Anuradhapura, sitting next to the Sangamita Stupa. I'm so parts of the world to come and experience the spiritual life in a traditional Buddhist country. I'm delighted to see the support and encouragement from many people already from all parts of the world for this project, and with all of your support, I hope we'll be able to make it a reality.
Theruvan Saranai, dear friends in Dhamma, I'm so happy to be a part of a project to build a much needed place in Sri Lanka for women, both monastic and lay, to practice according to early Buddhist teachings. Women have played important roles throughout our history in Buddhism. Women's contribution and support continues to this day. Today, in Sri Lanka, the female population is 52%, and in almost any Buddhist event, women are the majority to be seen. But unfortunately, for women to practice in seclusion, safe and secure places are very rare. So it has been a dream for many of us to have a place to practice as in the days of the Buddha. So this project will make this dream come true. I'm so grateful for the sons and daughters of the Buddha who initiated and spearhead this project. And it's a joy to see support from many people around the world flowing in various forms. With all your support and contribution, we can make it happen. Once established, this center will open up opportunities for women around the world to come and practice and feel the taste of the Dhamma. Thank you.
Theruvan Saranai. Hello everyone. I thought of speaking a few words as to why I am inspired to support the Daughters of the Dhamma project. According to conservative estimates, there are at least a couple of thousand female Buddhist monastics in Sri Lanka. They consist of anagarikas, 10 precept nuns, samaneris, all the way to bhikkhunis. It's a decent number. However, what we have found is that there is a lack of places for both monastic and lay women to practice in a meditative forest tradition, which is also in accordance with the early Buddhist texts. So, we should take steps to remedy this and give every opportunity for women to practice in a really deeper sense. That is in terms of personal instructions, advice, support, a community to be a part of, and of course, a place to reside and practice. Now, we are pretty confident that once there is a good place to practice, with the help of the BSWA monastics, the rest of the factors will automatically fall into place. I'm sure you're already aware of this. As per the Buddha, in order for the Buddhist ecosystem to sustain and flourish, we need a strong and stable fourfold assembly. That is, male and female monastics, as well as male and female lay people. So, I'm sure that this endeavor will also help further strengthen the overall sasana in Sri Lanka. We also hope that such a center will provide an excellent opportunity for women from the international community to stay and experience what it is like to practice in a traditional Buddhist setting, in a country steeped in approximately 2,300 years of Buddhist tradition and way of life. Thank you.
All of us are so blessed to be able to be a part of this program to establish a place of practice for daughters of Dhamma, hopefully for the present generation and definitely for generations of daughters of Dhamma to come. When Dhamma resonates with us deeply, whether you are a man or a woman, we all want to practice the Dhamma. We all want to practice the Noble Eightfold Path. So we look for places of seclusion, places where we can practice with like-minded people, and places where we get the monastic support with the word of the Buddha, the early Buddhist text. And of course, being daughters of Dhamma, we look for safety also. And friends, for daughters of Dhamma, it has not been easy. So we are also grateful for the monastics who have spearheaded this idea to establish a place of practice for ladies, and for the lay community who had come out so generously to support the program. May the blessings of the Noble Triple Gem and the Devas be with this project. Peruvan Saranai.
From early history of Sri Lanka, women have played a key role in the propagation of the Dhamma. With the arrival of Theri Sangamitta, Queen Anula, and 500 other aristocratic ladies requested ordination. Having ordained and having received higher ordinations, some of them took the journey to take the Dhamma to the world. The journey that they took was to China, Japan, Korea, and Taiwan on one side, and on the other, there was Tibet and Mongolia. As a Buddhist woman, I'm honored to be part of Dhammadutta, which is looking for space to support women in the practice of Sangvara, Prahana, and Bhavana, in the safety and the freedom of an own place. I wish the Dhammadutta all the very best in all its future endeavors. Thank you.
So, do the nuns want to sit on the chair? On the chair? Can I get help to put more chairs here? Can you put back my quiz? And then find a question where I show the nuns in Dhamma. Wait, the very first one. I'll tell you what's. Okay, maybe while we are getting this set up, I actually have the results of the quiz. Okay, can someone help me? Rina, maybe you help me. Maybe bring these bags to Ajahn Brahmali, and then Ajahn Brahmali can give out the prizes. Or maybe here. Maybe Ayya Karunika. Or, okay, the 4 nuns can give out the prizes. Okay. So, before I start, lovely nuns from Damansara, please look at the screen. This was one of the quiz questions. Mahinda, you were not here during the quiz. Can you guess who is the nun? Can you guess who is the nun?
That's so easy.
Okay, anyway, we've got a few of those. Okay, so maybe I just take less than 5 minutes to give out the prizes. So one of them is Amita. So he's one of the winners. Yep. So I think his caption, his is more the points. Yeah, go ahead and collect your prize from one of the nuns. Yeah, okay, all right. Yeah, okay, then we'll call the next one. So the first caption is, that's not very interesting. He said, how do I go back? That's Ajahn Brahmali. Then Ayya Karunika's one is stream of consciousness waterfall. Okay, all right, next one is Aurora. Yep, okay. Okay, that's Aurora. And then there is Lucky. After Lucky is Sandra. Sandra's caption, I'm trying to see which one is which. Okay, the Ajahn Brahmali's one, so this particular one, her caption is, I have looked 1,000... You want to read out yourself?
Oh, it might not be that funny.
It's okay.
I have looked 1,000 eons forward and 1,000 kalpas back, and I still cannot manifest 1 cup of coffee.
Wait, and then the other one, is that funny? And then there's another one, and then this one.
The Dhamma will set me free of this grit mash that binds me.
Thank you, Sandra. Okay, after that we have Manel and Eddie. One of you can come up. Eddie can come up. I think the caption for Ajahn Brahmali's is, I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. And then the other one is life is blissful. See, because she's smiling so nicely, Ayya Karunika, so life is blissful in Santi. Okay, next one, Ananda. He's got a lot of the correct answers. There was some collaboration going on there, wasn't it? Okay, and then, did you? Which one is your caption?
I thought getting out of samsara is more difficult.
Okay, and then this one, I didn't have a name. Can someone tell me whose is this? I didn't have a name to this one. Chamari? No? No? Anyway, you can come and claim later. Oh, Ananda got 2 sheets. You have 2 sheets. Okay, all right. Okay, and then Cheng. She asked me for a consolation prize. No, but she did well. Okay. Okay, so I think we got some extra prizes. Anyway, but I wanted to read out Venerable Sunyo's caption. He gave me this before he went to have tea with his parents. So for this one, Venerable Sunyo's caption is, Ajahn Brahmali waiting for snow so he can ski down. Okay, and then the next one, he said, fence keeps overly energetic nun from going on 100 km arms round. Okay, all right. So thank you, everyone. So we're going to start the next section of our today's event. And it's going to be a nuns forum. I can sit here and ask those questions. So firstly, welcome the lovely nuns. First, Ajahn Hasapanna, Ayya Karunika again, Venerable Achala, and Venerable Khantika, who came back from the hike. Yes, Ayya Karunika briefly mentioned that. So welcome, and thanks for taking time to actually do some sharings with us. So I have a list of questions to go through. What I would do is maybe we would just start the first question with Ajahn Hasapanna, and then the next question I'll start with Ayya Karunika, and then we just go down the road, yeah? Okay, first one. So there's a total, we'll see how the time goes. And if, for example, someone answer a question, and if the other nun want to kind of offer a different perspective, feel free to do that as well. Maybe we have, how many mics do we have? Is that just 2 mics? I've got 1. Yeah, you can share? Okay, all right. Okay, so the first question is about personal journey and inspiration. Can you share what inspired you to become a Buddhist nun? And also a key moment that confirmed your decision, and how your life has changed since ordaining.
Okay, I just want to share with you, when I was young, and frankly speaking, I don't have a very good impression of a Buddhist nun. Because in my area that I stay, so normally when someone passes away, they will invite, nuns, Mahayana nuns, to do the funeral service. So in my perception of nuns is a funeral director. So that is not impressed at all, And then I was sent to Catholic school. And I must say, at that time when I was young, I had more a good impression of a Catholic nun than a Buddhist nun, to be honest. Because this is when you're young, this is your impression, isn't it? Because I always see monks and nuns only perform funeral. That's all I know, And then actually, my turning point is when my mom passed away. That is something that I start to search. Because when I was young, much younger when I was younger, and I always fear of looking at, looking for the answer, seeking for the answer of where am I will be after death and things like that. And then I always push it away. It's okay, I'm too young to think about it. So I push it away. But of course, because I was with my mother when my mother passed away. So I was with her, looking after her, and also I really at her death, and really seeing how helpless I am, that, I can't even say that I can give her 10 years of my life, but I don't even know whether I have 10 years to give, isn't it? And I find it I'm so helpless, and looking at someone, that my loved one is really dying, and looking after her. And actually, after my mother passed away, and this is really, I start to really seeking for the answer, That's something that I always been run away, thinking, I don't want to face this, I'm too young, Actually, it's nothing, actually, it's nothing that is, it's not about how old or how young you are. We keep thinking that, I'm young, I won't be, I won't be dying so quickly. Only those older ones, no, isn't it? But then, yeah, it's really helped me. Then I start to, to look into, the Buddha's teaching, and then I got into the Dhamma. Then I start to, join the Buddhist society in Ipoh. They called it Ipoh Buddhist Dhamma Society, IBDS. So I used to go there, and I start to practice meditation. I do it really, and I remember the first time I never meditated before. The first time I meditate, then because this is the first time I experienced so much of inner peace and inner happiness that I never experienced before in the past, that really draw me into more of the practice of meditations. So I was quite involved, in practicing. I used to go there weekend, and also meditation, and then I started to practice more and spend more time in monastery, and then doing retreats, and then slowly, I reduced my work, and I started to travel to Thailand and to live in monastery, and I really enjoyed the lifestyle. And the reason I decided to ordain to become a nun is not because I want to be a nun. That is not really because for me, I just enjoy the lifestyle. I love the lifestyle, and I have a lot of passion towards that. And to me, I start to ask myself, if I have to live until I die, so what kind of lifestyle that I want to live? Then to me, come across to my mind that, I just want to continue with this lifestyle. I really love the lifestyle, the living in the forest and the kind of lifestyle. So this is how I decided to become a nun, Buddhist nun. And of course, at that time, I know Banda Sujato, and he pointed me to Dhammasara. That time is 1998. They just bought the land, and he told me, Buddhist society, they bought a land, why not you go there? But nothing happened. 1998, they just bought the land. And they said, then he said, that is a place that you go. And then, I listened to his advice. Then I wrote to Ajahn Mayama in 2000 that I'm interested in, to become a nun at Dhammasara. Then, but of course, that time they haven't have any building yet. So they completed the first building that is the nuns' cottage and the two kutis. And she said, okay, you can come in 2002. So I come here 2002. I never ever expected that I'm going to stay here for that long. Then I've been stuck here till now, over 20 years. I was thinking that I go to Dhammasara, I'll go to Australia. After 5 years, I leave. This is my initial plan. Then I ended up, I stuck here. And till now, 20 years, I've been stuck here. But actually, I'm happy to be here. And also, I'm quite moved. I'm so fortunate that the support here is really, that's, because I've been to other places, and you hardly can find a place for female. It's all, it's all mostly is a monks monastery, and then they have some place for lady to stay. Then of course they have lots of restriction, and then so many places you can't go. I remember when I think I went to Bodhiana, 2000, year 2000. I'm staying there for 3 weeks. And I remember that time Ajahn Brahmali was a guest monk. So, so I stay there. Then I find that, I'm so scared to go anywhere. That is not supposed to go because I'm a woman, But I find that it's lots of, it's don't have the because you're afraid that you do something wrong, you don't want to go into the place that you're not supposed to go. Then I always only go back to my room, go to the kitchen, and then sometimes go to the hall. I see if monks sitting there, I quickly go back to my room again. And I only the whole 3 weeks there, 2 weeks there, I think 2 weeks I stayed there. I only stayed that, within there. I didn't even go further. I didn't go to the monks area. And for the whole 2 weeks, then I really don't know beyond, kitchen, the monks area. I never been there. Even till now, I haven't been to even Ajahn Brahm's cave. So that's sometimes that for me it's like, for us it's so different. Like someone come to Dhammasara, they said that it's really good that I can walk everywhere. That I don't have to have to worry about, where I go, I suppose the place that I'm not supposed to go, I find that it's so wonderful that we have a place for female practitioner, Buddhist nuns, those whoever, I think some of you have been to Dhammasara, you stay there, you feel that you have more freedom, isn't it? You can go where, and then you can work with the nuns. For us, we can't work with the monk, we can't work with the monks, and even in Thailand also, we can't work with the monks. That's why this is how my journey, this is how I become a Buddhist nun. So since I joined the monastery 2002, so until now. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ajahn. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. And I think one part of the question is how your life has changed. But I think in that case, it's not so much how your life has changed, but how you have changed other people's life, because the fact that you are the abbot of Dhammasara, that enable a lot more other nuns to be ordained, I think that is really something quite wonderful. So maybe 3 sadhus for Ajahn Hasapanna. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Okay, so if we can have Ayya Karunika, you want to share with us your story as to how you become a bhikkhuni, and what was the one moment that you knew you want to become a nun?
Okay, so for me in the morning I mentioned my urge, attraction to the spiritual path happened when I was quite young. But when I first came here, then I was just doing my studies and I was listening to Ajahn Brahm. But in the back of my mind, there was always this idea, I have to meditate. I didn't know what and why, but enough conditioning, I think, hearing Dhamma talks, I need to meditate. But doing studies and meditation was a bit hard for me, so I didn't do that. But and in the meantime, of course, like anybody else, most people in the world, we find our happiness from our friends and our things, right? So I found happiness from my friends and shopping. So, but the problem was, it is just so difficult, even somebody forgot to tell me good morning, my day was a little not so good. If they forgot my birthday, I felt like I was going to die. You know what it is like when your happiness depends on other people and then they don't live up to your expectations. It's like this, constant move. I didn't like my happiness being controlled by other people and other things. But I didn't know what else to do, because this is what we normally know, right? Most people know this. Until, like, when I finished my studies, started work, when I signed my job contract, I actually had this vision of, being a professor with like white hair, build up a big career, big ego, doing the same thing, right? And I was like, this is not what I want to do with my life, all my life. And anyway, I had that urgency, like wanting to do, I never thought about like Ajahn Hasapanna, becoming a nun was not in my agenda at all, or in my career path, but practicing was important to me. So I thought, well, now is the time. So I went without knowing anything for a 9-day retreat with Ajahn Brahm. I had good karma because I was in a place where there was a retreat. The retreat center wasn't there, but they were doing things in the other Christian place. And I thought, he looks like a kind, good monk. At the very least, I'll have a good holiday, eat and sleep and have a good time, was my attitude in going to the 9-day retreat. I didn't know anything about jhanas or nothing. I just went, listened, did what he told me to do for the first time. I also normally don't listen to people and to follow instructions, but I didn't know what to do, so I just sort of did. And I became peaceful, quite peaceful enough during that 9 days. And then suddenly I realized, wow, this is actually much more sustainable. This is nicer than the happiness I got from shopping or with people and parties or traveling. So then actually, but of course I couldn't give up any one of those things. I loved my stuff and my lifestyle and everything. So I didn't worry about it. So I just did all my normal things, and I also meditate. But as I was meditating, actually the need for other things just dropped naturally. There was no possibility I could drop them because I liked it so much. But when it naturally dropped, the only way I always see is when the barks fall out in Western Australia. You see, it was like that. Like as the practice, as I was meditating, because I really like the meditations, I would do that. It's kind of funny because you then do dancing and music and all of that and meditating. But it was possible. But when the meditation really started to take off, all those things just naturally fell off. And I remember I had about 60 pairs of shoes and a huge wardrobe. One day I had enough. And then I remember the day that I took a rubbish bag, not a new rubbish bag, and put everything from my wardrobe except black and white clothes, and took them all to St. Vinny's in one go. I kept black and white because I was still working. I had to go for conferences and dinners, so I just kept that. So it was just like that. It happened naturally. I just kept meditating. I never thought about ordaining. I was very attached to Ajahn Brahma and Ajahn Brahmali at the time, and so I actually wanted to become a monk then. Because I wanted to be there. I tried to go to Dhammasara, but I never made a connection. It was really strange. So I was thinking, but I don't feel comfortable. I don't feel. So I couldn't really commit to going there and becoming a nun. So it was really difficult. So I didn't think too much about it. Until I was often staying at Bodhinyana, and I met this nun who is a Sri Lankan nun, an elderly one called Ayya Satima from US. She also comes from time to time. And I was telling my plan is to really practice as a lay person. I was thinking by this time I'm fed up with going to work and all of these things. There was like, just what's the point of going to work and coming to retreat? So my plan was to sell my house, do everything invest, and get a caravan, freelance anagarika. I can spend as much time at Bodhinyana and then travel here and there, maybe spend a little bit of time at Dhammasara. That was what I was thinking, and I was telling this to this nun, the Bhikkhuni Satima, and she said, "Oh, my child, you have no idea what it means to be a nun." Oh, what's the big deal? I didn't really get it. Really, I didn't think like that. For me, practice was important. Becoming a nun, the form wasn't. But she said there is something really special, something different when we actually put on the robe, take up the precepts, and live that kind of lifestyle fully. Right? Something went inside when she said that. So that is when I thought, okay, I should think about it. So, and then somehow when I had my Babaja ordination, we invited Ayya Satima. Actually, she was my preceptor at that time to give the 10 precepts. And but of course, before then, went to, actually I shaved my head with Ayya Tataloka, I made a connection to her, so in USA, but again I didn't feel connected to the country or the place to stay long. So again I still didn't think too much, but when I came to Dhammasara just for a visit, just for 2 weeks, they gave me a nice kuti in the valley, and I never left. And things just happened like that. So for me, the turning point was going on Ajahn Brahm's retreat. And yeah, that's the story.
Thank you, Ayya. So it looks like the trick is to give aspiring, those people who are aspiring to be a nun, to give them a nice kuti in the valley. But I must say now we've got very nice kutis in Dhammansara, isn't it? Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Ayya. Ayya Achala, do you want to share your story?
Sure. So I guess it's actually very similar to Ayya Karunika. I would say my spiritual journey was really about following happiness, about learning what truly brought me happiness in my life. To begin with, you sort of listen to what the world tells you will make you happy. So people say you study and then you go to university and then you get a job. And I had a job that I liked. It sort of ticked all the boxes. It wasn't a desk job. I didn't want to be stuck indoors. I got to travel and do field work. And then people said, oh, you have a full-time job, you're earning money, buy a house. So I thought, okay, it sounds sensible. I bought a house. And it made me feel like I was suffocating. I could sort of see this snapshot of me in this house in a few years, maybe with a partner and some kids. And even that image brought up a sense of panic for me. And I thought, there must be something wrong with me. All these things that the world tells you makes you happy were not working. And when I was at university, I had already started doing meditation retreats, and I realized that it was this spiritual part of my life of doing retreats, of visiting the temple. That's what brought me a deeper sense of happiness. And that led me to visiting Dhammasara for the first time in 2010. And I would say that for me was a turning point. Actually, Venerable Khantika came to stay at Dhammasara that first time that I was there as well. And I guess I sort of had this feeling of, this is it, this is what I should do with my life. I felt like I made more sense in the monastery than I did anywhere else. And yeah, and then in 2012 I came to ordain as Ayya Karunika. Yeah.
Thank you. I think I moved to Perth in 2012, and when I started going to the monastery, it was like 2013, and then you were the Ayya Karunika there. So it's been a long time. Thanks for sharing. I remember, wasn't there a sutta that mentioned something like the enlightened being thinks that what they think is happiness, we see it as suffering. What we see as happiness, they see it as suffering. It's a bit like that. That kind of like make people consider whether they want to become monks and nuns, because you see very different things from what we lay people experience on a day-to-day basis. Thanks for sharing. Ayya Khantika?
Thank you. So I grew up in London. I grew up about 5 kilometers from where Ajahn Brahm grew up. I only just found this out. I mean, I knew he lived close to me, but that's my little story. And I'd always felt like something was missing in my life. Even as a child, I felt like I really shouldn't be here. This isn't the right place for me. It was very busy and noisy, and I just didn't feel connected to a Western kind of culture, I guess. I remember one year at Christmas, everyone hypes up Christmas. Oh, Christmas, so wonderful, the best thing ever. And I remember one day I opened all my presents and I just cried. I was like, is that supposed to make me happy? I was maybe 8 years old. I was just I'm so disappointed. This is what the world has told me is going to be the most wonderful thing ever. And it was I was just very sad and very disappointed. And I think I went downstairs and I told my mum, I just want to help people. And she doesn't remember this, but this is one of these moments where I was just I just knew that generosity was really where you would find joy. But anyway, so Pretty much as soon as I was old enough, I moved away from the UK and I went traveling. I was like looking for like a way to live, basically, because I knew that wasn't it for me. And so that took me to India. I was like, wow, India, I heard about it, and I was like, wow, that sounds amazing. So I went and I tried out all of like the spiritual things that were available, sort of went shopping, I guess, spiritual shopping. Spent a lot of time at the ashrams, and I was almost ready to renounce then, but I read all of the Hindu kind of scriptures, and I was like, well, this isn't it. Like, they talk about like this eternal consciousness, like the Atman, and I was like, no, that doesn't really do it for me. So then I came to Australia, and I lived here for a while. I lived in an intentional community, so I sort of like dropped out of society, and and then after a while, I also realized, well, this still isn't happiness. Like, I thought living in community and just living a simple life would be like really wonderful. And so then I started getting into meditation. At my first Vipassana 10-day retreat, I finally like worked up the courage to go to one. So I was absolutely terrified, like 10 days, like boot camp. And I just absolutely loved it. And I was like, the teachings just resonated so much, like, wow, karma, rebirth, like, this is it, like, I'm a Buddhist, like, this is what I've been looking for. I just started keeping the precepts and meditating, and then I remember going to see the teacher and being like, so, like, I want to get enlightened, so, like, where does the path go from here? And it's like a lay teacher, and she was like, oh, so you just, like, you do, like, one 10-day retreat a year, and you just meditate, like, 2 hours a day, and, like, off you go. I was like, that's not going to do it. I really want to go for it. And then so I was very lucky because I overheard a lady talking about how her and her husband, they had been planning to come to Perth, and he was going to become a monk and she was going to become a nun. And that was like the first time I'd ever heard that you could do that. I was like, wow, you can be a nun in Australia? Like, that's just like, that. So I heard this just before sitting another 10-day retreat, and by the end of that retreat I was just convinced. I was like, that's what I want to do with my life. And I haven't looked back. Thank you.
Thank you. I think when I first met you in Damansara, did you just move from, were you in Denmark or something?
Yeah, I lived in Denmark, yeah.
Yeah, very nice. I enjoy the part when you start talking about how you ended up in Damansara, and that, you know, when Venerable Achala, you were there, and Ayya Karunika, you were there, and it's like, it's very nice because that's what I experience when I'm in Damansara, like the sisterhood, you know, like the nuns are very close together. I don't know about the nuns, the monks though, but at least I've stayed in Damansara long enough to know that it's very nice, like what Ajahn Hasapanna say. And of course, being a woman staying in Damansara, you could be close to the nuns and go everywhere. Okay, thanks for sharing.
We like it when you come as well. You're part of the sisterhood as well. I mean, all the women who stay here.
I want to say almost called Venerable Lay Har. Thank you. Okay, so let me move to the next question. Maybe we have Ayya Karunika to answer that question first, and then we'll go around. So this is about the role of nuns in the Sangha. So how do Buddhist nuns contribute to preserving the Dhamma and supporting both the lay and monastic communities?
Well, the 50% or roughly, half of the population is women. What I come to understand, especially as I reach middle age, I realize, no man would ever understand what a woman feels like, and no woman would ever understand what men feel like, And how can, men teach just women as well in a full way? They can give the teachings, but, not fully catered. And how can a woman really do? So we need for it to be complete, both monks and nuns, which is why when the Buddha became enlightened, Mara said, okay, now you got what you wanted, please pass away. He said, not yet, Mara, not yet, not until I have established both bhikkhus, bhikkhunis, female lay disciples and male disciples, lay disciples. That is because you need both, right, to contribute. And it is slightly different. I mean, people here in Perth are quite fortunate because there is quite a lot of monks and nuns, and the center here gets to hear teachings by both parties, maybe not equal amounts, but at least you get to hear than most other places in the world. So you can still see the difference of delivery, difference in angle, and we speak differently and things go differently with the two genders. So it is really important that we have that balance. Otherwise, I feel like the Buddhism would be limping on one leg, and I don't know how long can you limp, right? You need to be walking steadily if you want to go for a long walk and last a long time. So therefore, I feel it is really important and brings the balance back to Dhamma when we have bhikkhunis, and we need more bhikkhunis to balance out, because anywhere we go, as we said, often there is always a lot of the women supporting and also practicing. So it is really helpful to have women teaching, and also the way we think and apply could be different. So having that diversity is helpful. And so that's what I would say. Of course, there's probably a lot, so others can share as well.
Thank you, Ayya. Venerable Achala?
I remember before I came to Perth for the first time, I was part of a lay meditation group. There was a lay meditation center, and it was all very nice, and I began to get more involved in the lay meditation center as a volunteer. And as I got to know the teachers and the volunteers there, one reflection was for me after a retreat. So these lay teachers, they're very nice, but at the end of the retreat, they just go home and they have to go to a job just like me. Maybe they have a family and they have duties. Whereas I knew about monastics, and it's like they have the opportunity to do this full time. And also, the people in that lay meditation, I won't name the system, but they were quite discouraging of me coming to visit a monastery, and I didn't say it, but in my heart I was like, do you guys know the Buddha was a monastic? This is how he lived his life, and if I want to follow in his footsteps, why would I not live as closely to the way that he lived his life? And so the reason I was able to do that is because there were nuns who went forth before me. Because Ajahn Brahmali set up Dhammasara, and Ajahn Nirodha and Ayya Sela and Ajahn Hasapanna. So because they did this first, that lifestyle and that way of life was there, and I was just very easily able to come along and follow them. So I think that's how, why it's important to have nuns in particular. Yeah.
Yeah. Ayya, Khantika? Yeah? Okay. Ajahn Hasapanna?
I remember once someone called the monastery. They're looking, for guidance and teachers. Is a guy. So I say, normally it's a guy. We refer them, subcontract, we refer them to monks. I said, okay, yeah, you can call Bodhisattva. The monk said, no, I don't want a male teacher. I want a female teacher. These guys, I prefer female teacher because he feels that with a male teacher, she finds that female that's more motherly, and then they don't have to, because in men you have to always show that I'm strong, to be more macho and things like that. But then with female, they can be, And I was surprised. I said, oh, you can go to, I refer him to Bodhisattva. I said, go to Bodhisattva. I give the number, you call Bodhisattva. And they said, no, I prefer female teacher. And also we have people come to speak to me, especially ladies. And they say that sometimes some of the things is very personal, private, and they find it very difficult to speak to a monk because this is something is very, for them, it's sometimes quite embarrassing, to speak to a monk. But they feel comfortable to speak to a nun. That's why I find it so useful if you have nun, because they feel more comfortable. They can, because some of these things are really private, and it's for them they feel very embarrassed if they speak to a monk, you know, and especially sometimes women undergoing, you know, menopause and things like that, and then they prefer to speak to a nun than a monk. That's why it's so important that, you know, that nuns play a very important role. Even not only females, even some guy also prefer female teacher, you know. And I think that they find the softness, gentleness, and then, you know, female are more motherly, you know. They feel, you know, I think they give them the comfort, you know. That's why sometimes I think that it's really, for nuns actually play a very important role in spreading the Dhamma. So
Thank you, Ajahn. So in summary, what you're saying is that sometimes monks don't get it. Okay, all right. Thank you for sharing. Okay, so maybe just to, so now it's about 2:13. We have the session until 2:45. I still have a few more questions to go, but maybe let me just change the tone a little bit. You know how I'm like. I actually gave the nuns the list of questions, so they are well prepared. But you know how sometimes I have questions that are not the usual questions? Okay, so this is a rapid fire round. Just one round, and then we'll go back to the normal questions. So I'm going to ask a question, and you just give a quick answer. Yeah? So that's why it's called a rapid fire round. Okay, so the question is, if nuns had a secret superpower, what would it be? Okay. So nuns. So each of you will need to give the answer. Yeah? So the question is, if nuns had, so if you, being a nun, had a secret superpower, what would it be? Yes, your personal one. Okay, maybe start with Ayya Karunika.
Patience.
What's that again?
Patience.
Patience.
Superpower.
Superpower? Okay. All right.
for me, just relax.
That's a superpower. Okay.
I don't know. Venerable Prasada always says, I'm the resident smartass at Dhammasara, but I don't know if that's a superpower.
What is that again?
Venerable Prasada says, I'm the resident smartass at
Smart.
Dhammasara. So maybe being funny, there you go.
Yes, okay, very nice.
What came up for me was compassion.
Compassion, okay, very nice. So you can see the nuns' definition of superpower. They have such good qualities that they regard that as the superpower. Thanks for doing this. Okay, so let me go back to the questions. So it will be Venerable Achala. So the question is, so this is about challenges and realities. So as a lay person, we will go through life with a lot of challenges and difficulties in life. And a lot of times we get the support of friends and family to go through it. But with nuns and monks, you will have to depend on your fellow monastic, right? And so the question is, and this is for nuns, so what challenges do Buddhist nuns face in daily life? Especially in terms of recognition and support. So it's not just problems that you encounter on a day-to-day basis that are those mundane problems, but also in terms of recognition. And like this morning, we did hear how difficult it is for, to have bhikkhunis in Sri Lanka and for them to have a place to practice. So I think this is one of the problems that the bhikkhunis will encounter as part of their spiritual life. So especially in terms of recognition and support. And how do you think this compared to the support given to the monks? Do you feel like the nuns don't get as much support as the monks get more food, the nuns don't, and things like that. So can you share with us what you think about?
So I guess I have to say I grew up as a nun mostly in Perth, and I feel like we have very good support and recognition. But one thing I've seen even in Australia is, so if you're a nun that's part of an existing organisation like Dhammasara, you're well looked after. But if you decide to go off on your own, then I've seen that monks can do this much more easily because there's a wider network of support for them. And the wider Buddhist community, even in Australia, they know what monks are and they're conditioned to look after monks. So I've seen nuns who have maybe, gone off on their own or tried to establish something on their own, and it's just been much more difficult if you're outside of like a established organization. Yeah.
Ayya Khantika, you want to share with us?
Maybe you do.
Okay.
Yes, because I start my monastic life from here, Dhammasara. So, I mean, we used to get all these recognitions and supports, Then, yes, we're very fortunate to be here. But I know sometimes I travel, I can see that in other places that nuns don't get the same recognitions and the support as we do. And yes, I think I remember when I was in Thailand, and I was very shocked. And some women, they have the perception, they're thinking that like offer to monks you got more merits than to nuns. Actually, this is what they believe. And I remember there was a lady, and she knows that I'm going to, because I said I'm going to Perth, Australia, I'm going to become a nun there. Then she said, why you want to become a nun? You can practice as a lay person because for them like it's not convenient, You don't get the support. Then you as a lay person it's easy. So you just keep 8 precepts. You just go to the monastery and practice. But why you want to become a nun? Because for them is something that is like I don't know. It's just like I think it's just been conditioned that it's lesser. So like automatically, yeah. And then some of the things that I find very strange, like if any especially any famous monks come, and then they're all like crazy, like that even the leftover food they eat, they think that's the I can't take leftover food from the monk. My goodness, they think that is something good, It's been blessed because this food been eaten by monk, Oh, everybody can get the food, from the leftover food from the monk. This is something I was thinking, my goodness, I will never ever do that. I can really see how being conditioned that, actually it has to take a while, for people to change their perception. And of course, we are very fortunate here. And that's why sometimes when, when I decided to become a nun, and I know that I have to relinquish everything, and not holding money and all these things, I think to many people it's quite scary because you are hating to something that is unknown, isn't it? And you start to worry, what happened if I don't get the support? What happened if I grow old? What happened if I can't stay in the monastery? All these things will happen. But to me, one of the things that are very strong in me is that I have a very strong faith in living the life of a blameless life, a life of goodness. If you are keeping the precepts, you are doing the practice, actually you don't have to worry about whether you got the support or not. I think that is very important that you have the faith. If you're really doing the practice, keeping the precepts, actually I never worry about whether I got support or not. That's not in me at all. I think because actually it's important, that the faith actually to become a monastic and to walk this path, actually, if you don't have enough strong faith, you start to, yes, on one hand, I've seen people on one hand, they think, oh yeah, it's a good thing to do. On the other hand, there's so much fear, But then if you have that, if you have the faith in the path, in the practice, especially living this life, living a pure life, living a blameless life, and also living a life of goodness, and actually they give you so much inspiration and so much happiness and energy, and you don't feel, actually when you're happy and you're peaceful, actually you're pretty fearless. When you're peaceful and calm, actually you don't have so much fear. This is through my own experience.
Thank you, Ajahn. I think I remember whenever we offer dana in Dhammasara, and then the nuns will give a blessing, But I know Ajahn Hasapanna, before you give a blessing, you will say things like, before you come for dana, you have to think what you want to prepare, the food, and then you make sure you come early. And it's something very simple that she says every time. But then it hits home because she understood that we have to plan what to cook, and we have to kind of like make sure we start the journey early because always got heavy traffic along road highway. So something as simple as kind of like, to you it's so simple, but to us, we feel like you understood what we had to do before we are able to kind of like offer food to you. So we feel very blessed because it was just not, it's not like we just bring the food and then you guys just take it. You actually understand what it takes for the lay people to make that offering. So I think for that I'm very grateful, and I'm always very happy that and hope that the nuns monastery will continue to get food and more food than the monks. I think there's usually more food in Bodhiana than the nuns. So please, for those of you who have not been to Damansara, please visit Damansara and see all the lovely nuns. Okay, so Ayya Khantika, you want to say something? Or Karunika? Yeah?
Do we have time?
Yes.
Okay. So I just wanted to tell a little story to sort of illustrate how monks get more support than nuns. So we went for alms round when I was at Santi Monastery in Bandanoon, and it was me and another nun, and we went and we were very happy. And we just sort of stood there, and people just looked at us, and they're like, what is this? We're not quite sure what you are, what you're doing. We stood there for quite a long time. And then eventually someone came up and was like, wow, are you nuns? And then they were like, I'm a disciple of Ajahn Brahmali. So it was like only because of a monk that we actually got fed that day. So he was like very happy. He was like, I went to Ajahn Brahmali's talk in Canberra, and here's like lots of food. And so we were very, very happy, and we were like, we have to thank Ajahn Brahmali that we got lunch that day. And then the next time we went for alms round, we actually had a monk with us, a visiting monk from USA, and he joined us for the alms round. And we were standing there for about 5 minutes, and people came over immediately. They saw a monk and they were like, wow, a monk. And then they start talking to him, and they're like, can we offer you food? And we were like, just our bowls were overflowing. We had to go to another location, and again they were like, a monk, yay. It's just very iconic, like that image of a monk. I think just everybody's very familiar with it. They know what a monk is. They know that like this is somebody who's an alms mendicant, I should support them. Whereas nuns, like obviously people don't see us very often. There's not very many brown-robed nuns. And as Ajahn Hasapanna said, in some cultures they think it's like not as meritorious to support nuns. So basically have a monk friend. No. Build up the support for women by teaching and yeah.
So someone like Ajahn Brahmali, his name is quite good to be used.
No.
I think when I started here, I was going to Damansara quite a lot. That was in like 2013, 2014. Then I realized that we don't have that many people who offer food in those days. Then when I went to Bodhiana, I realized there were a lot more food, and I didn't quite understand the difference. But because I'm always washing dishes, because I don't talk to people, I'm not a very sociable person. I go there, offer dana, then I go to the kitchen, I wash dishes. Then as I'm washing dishes, I'm talking to the person next to me, and then I'll ask in Bodhiana, have you been to Damansara? And they're like, no. I said, do you know we have nuns here? And they're like, oh, really? I say, yes, we've got nuns here. So I started pulling people from Bodhiana, which is nice because I think a lot of times, maybe also partly because even here in Dhammaloka, we see the monks here more often than the nuns. So I remember there was one occasion where I think there was a nun here. There was monks giving a talk, but there was a nun who was visiting, so the nuns was also here. And that person actually said, oh, I didn't know we have Buddhist nuns in Perth. And I was in shock. But at the same time, I think, I guess it's not a common sight, right? Like most people would kind of like know, okay, there's a monk, but maybe not Buddhist nun. So thanks for sharing. That's quite interesting what you experienced in Santi. Ayya Karunika, you want to share?
Actually, not much, because I don't know. I have probably strange karma. Wherever I went, I actually never felt the difference. Like really, I hear about things, but my personal experience, I have felt equal kind of respect, good support, whether we were at Dhammasara, whether we at Santi, when I visited Sri Lanka also. I didn't expect that, but we got that really good support. Remember when we went to take the Bodhi tree, we already went prepared to really look down, do whatever we were treated, we were fine. I also told them, we don't know how we are going to be received. And we were shocked that we were treated quite well in Sri Lanka. When we received the Bodhi tree, Venerable, Ajahn Hasapanna and Ajahn Nirodha carried the tree and walked in front, whereas the Mahanayakas went behind us, which was shocking. And it was on like TV and paper. So these kind of things also happen. It's also nice to see. Sometimes people also think, maybe nuns don't have enough respect and support, but it is also building up. But it is important that we are seen more. It's just the perception has to come up. But we can already see by being there now for a while and doing it, that people's perceptions come in. And it is also why, like the project in Sri Lanka, also with women and nuns, and if you grow, and also the forest tradition as well, like the perceptions will start to build. So, but we have to be more visible for them to recognize. But once they recognize, they do. But the funny story is, we've been called female monks. They don't sometimes even know. And I've been very often called a monk. But they know I'm woman, but still call a monk. But there was this little boy who, since he was little, always only came to Dhammasara. And finally, when he was about 3, he went to Bodhinyana. And what did he call?
He called male nuns.
Yeah.
That is a male, no, he said boy
nuns.
Mom, that is a boy nuns. I really like that boy nuns. So he called monks boy nuns. I love it.
Things are starting to change. The perceptions of the new generation is changing.
Because normally we've been always called female monks, or girls monk. Some people call girls monk or female monks. But I like this one because of boy nuns. I like the idea of boy nuns.
Yes. So you can see there's a lot of conditioning, isn't it? Like people are conditioned that there is Buddhist monk, and that's why it's Buddhist monk. And then when they see a nun, they're like, oh, okay, that's a female monk, whereas this boy kind of like grew up with the nuns, and that's why to him it's just nuns.
Yeah. So I must say that actually Buddhist society, they really do a good job because with the YouTube and things like that. And when I started to travel, and someone, I was at the airport, ran towards me. You be giving teaching meditation, isn't it, on the YouTube? I said, yes. Oh, I just want to express my gratitude. Thank you for sharing that. And I remember once also someone from India come. She's like, she was so emotional when she see me like crying. Like you see a superstar in a real person. The first time I was like, oh, why this? And she was so excited, and she was really in tears that she said, oh, I see the real one because I've been, for listening to your talk, following your meditation and things like that. So now I can see the real one. Then she was really crying, And then when I went to like places, I remember last I went to Melbourne, and some also say, oh yeah, I've been, listening to your talks, and it really helped me a lot. Then sometimes you feel really happy that at least you can help, you can share. And I must say, also we have to give the credit to all the Buddhist societies, members, and all those volunteers, all those doing all the, live stream, posting all those talks, and that's like, you're really making, much merit to you to do that also, so that a lot of people come to know, the Buddha's teaching, and they also benefited because sometimes they said they changed their life because of after listening to the talks, by monks and nuns. So yes, I must say that, it's really make a great difference.
Thank you. So that's kudos to the AV team. We give 3 sadhus to the AV team. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. And it's very true, because it's through this team that we are able to kind of like spread the Dhamma to the rest of the world and to a lot of places where they don't have a monk or a nun near them. So it's through the online teachings that they are able to learn Buddhism. Thank you. Okay, so let me do another rapid fire round before I go to the last question, because we will be finishing in about 15 minutes. So, so this rapid fire round, I would like the nun to let us know your favorite sutta or teaching. Okay, think about it first. Just one. And you can say why, or you can just say the sutta. Okay,
Yes,
Ajahn Hasapanna has one.
Mahamalumkya Suttas.
Okay.
Because it's, in these suttas, the Buddhas pointed out very clearly that you really, a lot of people have been, arguing with whether to have jhana or not to have the jhana, and that's actually in these suttas, it's very clearly that you no need to argue.
Thank you. That's very nice. I like how decisive she is, because I know I've been attending like Ajahn Brahmali sutta class, and then every sutta you say, this is my favorite sutta. Then the next one, my favorite. Until today, I don't think we know which one is favorite. Ajahn, do you have a favorite? You do, okay. All right, next time I'll ask him. Okay, Ayya Karunika.
So for me also I have many, but the one that I've been using quite a lot lately is Manasikara Sambhava Sabbe Dhamma, which has been giving on the talks as well. That means that empowers us to take charge of our practice and our mind states and all of that. That means that all of our mind states are conditioned or arise from the way you give attention. And this comes up in the Mulaka Sutta in Anguttara Nikaya, but I can't remember the reference. It's called Mulaka Sutta. Sorry? 883. There you go.
Can you say the Pali word again? I heard the
Manasikara
attention.
Sambhava Sabbe Dhamma. Manasikara means the way you give attention.
Yeah.
Sambhava is originate, Sabbe Dhamma, all the Dhammas, but in this occasion, all mind states as well.
Okay, thank you.
So it's actually just an example that's in a few different suttas of the 3 monks, Anuruddha, Nandiya and Kimbala, and of how harmoniously they live together. And there's a line in there when Anuruddha says that, he says, why don't I set aside what I want to do and do what my Venerable brothers, maybe he didn't say that exactly, but something like that, why don't I do what they want to do? And that's just, I guess, an example that I've kept in mind often, yeah.
Thank you for sharing. We have 2 monks in Bodhiyana. We just need one more, which is the Anuruddha, isn't it? We have the Kimbala and the Nandiya. Okay.
So what went through my head is the Patalaya Sutta, which Ajahn Brahmali always goes on about, which I really enjoy, and I use that a lot in my practice. But can we find out today which Ajahn Brahmali's favorite sutta is?
I'm not sure whether he needs time to think about it. Ajahn Brahmali, you have a favorite. So it has to be a favorite. You can't give us like 2 or 3. Yes, the top. Yes. But then the top list of yeah. I think his English is not very good. He doesn't understand favorite. What is the meaning of favorite? Okay, Ajahn Brahmali. Just one. Okay, 3.
This is really, it's almost impossible. I think the most important thing, I think the way you have to do it is you have to ask the Buddha, what is the Buddha's favorite sutta? And then you have to focus on that. That's kind of the deal. And so I think my favorite sutta is now I know, Mahaparinibbana Sutta. Yeah, because it has a beautiful story, it has a long kind of talks about the Buddha, you see the Buddha in action, and it has nice kind of teachings in between. That's kind of a summary of the entire Eka Pitaka right there, the one Pitaka. Yeah. So anyway, that's my final answer for now. Tomorrow's going to be different.
I will ask him during the Sutta retreat, and then I'll let you guys know what is his favorite. Okay, so thanks for sharing. All right, let me go to, okay, let me check the time. I've got about 5 minutes. Okay, so maybe I'll go to the last question. So this is about vision and support. And as you know, today we're actually kind of like focused on the Daughters of the Dhamma project. And so the question is around support, vision and support. So how can the lay community better support Buddhist nuns and their spiritual path? And how do you personally, so this is the question, so how would you like the lay community to continue to support the Buddhist nuns so that you can continue to practice on your spiritual path? And also, how do you personally plan to support this project, Daughters of the Dhamma project?
Apparently it has to be me. But can I defer to Venerable Karunika?
It's
They're
okay.
bullying me because I'm the youngest. Okay.
So the question is that, like, how would you like to see the lay community supporting you as a Buddhist nun so that you can continue in your practice?
So they do a wonderful job already. I just feel very content with how the lay people support me. Recently, no, maybe I won't tell that story. They sort of find out what we like and what we need, and then they offer it to us, and I'm just always blown away, basically. So I'm already contented with how they support us.
So maybe I can ask the question a different way. So you recently did this hike together with Venerable Upeka, and along the way, and I didn't follow because I'm not on Instagram and all those, but I didn't follow what you guys did. But was there something that you felt very grateful for when you were going through this journey?
Yeah, on the walk, I mean, we were incredibly fortunate because this lady just came forward. She'd won this prize, and it was 2 tickets to Tasmania, including like car hire, flights, and this walk, the 3 Capes walk. And actually, it was a monk who had said, "Why don't you offer it to the nuns?" And so I was just like blown away by her kindness. And she brought all this amazing food. We were like, next time we just are happy with noodles, okay? Like, we're supposed to be renunciants, but it was like, yeah, it was just a wonderful experience to have someone who was so wanted to offer and wanted to support us. And yeah, it was a very nice experience.
Thank you. Okay, Achala?
I would say the best way is just to get to know the monastics wherever you live. Like, make an effort, especially if there are nuns communities, visit them and get to know those communities. And as you do that, you will find out what those specific communities need. I mean, I think that's the best way to support different nuns communities. Yeah.
And then with regard to supporting the project, how do you think you can contribute?
I'm doing this. This is probably, yeah, this is the first
start.
My first involvement. Also, we know Ayya Sela, and I think we're here because she wanted us to help, and so we're happy to support her with our friendship and in whatever way we can support her. Yeah.
So would you be open to, if one day Ajahn Hasapanna said you have to go to Sri Lanka and spend some time with the nuns and train the nuns over there, would you be open to doing that as well?
I'm happy to visit. I don't know if I'm not training nobody, but I'm happy to visit her and offer her my friendship. Yeah.
Thank you.
The way that you can all help, apart from what you heard already, is friendship, like good friendship. It's nice to have that kind of mutual friendship, because it's not only the perception is usually you learn from the monastics, but it is also very inspiring to see your own practice. So when we see the laity also practicing really well with your own practice, with your own friendship, that also gives us a support, especially when we live in a smaller place. Like when we are at Dhammasara, you don't even think about it because we have our own big monastic community. So when I went out to Santi, when we are only a few, then you realize the support of good practicing lay people, their friendship is also really important. So it's really, really nice that. And the other thing is your honest feedback, because sometimes we don't know. Maybe we are doing some silly things without knowing. We may not see ourselves making some mistakes or things that are not really proper or whatever. And it is really nice to have good feedback feedback. Of course, done in a good way, not come and shout at us in public, but find the right time, find the place, and in a good way to sort of say, Venerable, it might be better if you sort of think about doing this in this way. If it is inappropriate, because we don't necessarily know. And this is the thing, living in a multicultural society with so many different people, and we, are at different situations. Rather than not saying that and we continue to make the same mistakes again and again and again, good feedback is also a very good way of supporting us.
Yes, actually it's important that we have the feedback. I do, like sometimes from time to time, we have some of our supporters that are very close to the monastery. They do come and give me some feedback so that I'm aware of that. Because sometimes it's not, it's good that we're aware of it. Then I will alert the nuns, okay, you're not supposed to do this or this, And also it's good that it's good to support the nuns to keeping their precepts. So knowing that what is not what they want, is what they need, and what really support, to support them in the practice. Because sometimes I find that, not to spoil the nuns, offer them expensive things, And sometimes people think that, I good karma, I offer them all these expensive things. It's good that, that to support them. Because sometimes I've seen, some monastic that didn't push up the ego, and, the demand for expensive things, maybe the latest, version, expensive, all this gadget and things like that. I think it's good that for the lay supporters and not to really spoil the nuns and the monks, and to support them and, to give what they need. It's not what they want. I think it's important that to help them to uphold the precepts. I think this is important. And because very easily it's been human, it's very easily get spoiled, isn't it? Then they say it's important to support monastic in that way. And also that, yes, the fact that today I'm here already show my support to this project. And yeah, if I need to do, that we can have an exchange program. They can come over, to Dhammasara, and the Dhammasara nuns can go over there. It's also a way to help to establish the place, okay?
I forgot to say how I was supporting the project. So I'm also part of the Monastic Consultative Committee, and together with Ajahn Brahmali, we already supported by coming up with the constitution. And also, for me, the main thing is to give my support to Venerable Sela, because it's nice for her to have somebody to sort of as a sounding board. For my job is really to listen to her, because she's the one who's there and I don't really understand the situations there. But just being a sounding board when she wants to say, so she calls me and asks, what do you think about this? Shall we do like that? Usually my job is to be there to support her, and I feel really rewarded by just doing that, yeah.
Thank you. So, Ajahn Brahmali, want to say something?
I just wanted to say that, first of all, thank you very much for Venerable Ajahn Hasapanna and Venerable Karunika for coming on board and for being so positive about this project. Both of you said yes when I asked if you were going to be part of this, and that's really wonderful. And also I want to say thank you also to all the other nuns at Dhammasara Monastery. I was there a while ago and I presented this project and asked them, how do you feel about this? And there was only one nun among 20 who was a little bit dicey about the project. Everyone else was really, really positive. And that's wonderful. It's very nice to kind of have that sort of support, because when many people support, and it's going to happen. And I think this is happening better than what I have seen almost any other project of this kind. So that's really marvelous. So thank you so much for everything.
Can we say 3 loud sadhus to the nuns for being here today and for their sharing? Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you. Okay, so we're taking a break until 3 o'clock, and that's when we will have the Sutta class.